Midnight Library, rare books promise on the borrower card. The city library keeps its breath after midnight. Daytime is for overdue fines and children pulling whole kingdoms off the shelves. Night belongs to the HVAC's catechism and the slow creak of wood remembering every secret it has held. I signed the after-hours log with a pen that made me briefly honest and slid my phone face down into my left pocket, the pocket I use for things that are supposed to make it home. The security guard nodded me toward the elevator, a tired saint in a polyester uniform. "Basement," he said. "Rare books." Back home, Theo had said, "Can we talk tomorrow?" in the voice that really means please stay now. Our couch is better at verdicts than comfort. If we sit at opposite ends long enough, it swears us in. I left before opening statements. On the front steps, my screen lit with a message from Jay. Julian in my contacts, Jay in the way I label hazards to make them smaller. Stacks B12. Just talk. By day, I fix other people's paragraphs for a small publisher that still believes in glue and linen. By night, I try not to turn my own into weapons. Thea and I keep a code that works when we remember it. T means come here, you awake. Means I'm scared. Tomorrow means not yet, but don't go far. 2 months ago, I'd gone to the library for a donor event and found Julian leaning over a cradle of vellum like a whispered apology. He wore the kind of sweater that makes better men of people and a laugh that sounded like a glass agreeing to be set down gently. He didn't ask for anything. That was how I started bringing him everything. Rare Books lives behind a door that pretends to be shy. Inside, the air is cool the way honesty is cool, on purpose. The room smelled of cotton gloves and patience, light kept low as if brightness had to pass a test. Julian stood beside a reading table under a brass lamp, sleeves pushed, collar unpunished. His hands rested on the green felt with the confidence of someone trained not to bruise. He looked up and the lamp did what lamps do to certain faces. "You came," he said, "because men never tire of pretending a rival is a plot twist." "I came to return something," I said. "My key, your decency." "Your name," I said. "It's been on my mouth too long for its own health." He reached into a wooden drawer and produced a blank borrower card, the old kind with crisp lines and the promise of limits. He set it on the felt along with a pencil worn down to good intentions. "3 words," he said. "Why are you here?" "3 words is cruel," I said. "That's why they work." He angled the lamp so the light made a small stage of the card. "No speeches in this room. Books will think we're improvising." I wrote proud at breakfast. Beneath it, smaller, like a fuse I might or might not light, touch before arguing. He read the graphite as if it had temperature. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered a breath from my lapel, the distance a match keeps during training, and fell to the table like we were already being graded. "Does he know?" Julian asked. He didn't need to weaponize the pronoun. "He knows the apartment is quiet," I said. We stood in the kind of silence curators worship. Nothing wasted, nothing performative. He stepped into my weather, heat arriving before hands do when men are trying to be better than their appetites. "Tell me no," he said softly. I didn't. I met him in the inch that rewrites evenings. His mouth tasted like mint and dust and the idea of citrus. When his hand found the back of my neck, his grip remembered humane limits. My body answered like a courtroom that wants the witness anyway. He made the sound men make when a small country surrenders and calls it diplomacy. I made the one I've learned not to hate when it belongs to him. We didn't rush. Folios reward patience. His mouth found the hinge of my jaw. Mine found the place behind his ear where regret loses vocabulary. His palm slid under my shirt and rested flat a second. "Do you swear?" Then moved with attention rather than appetite. He guided my hand down with the steadiness of someone who respects tools. I closed my fingers and he exhaled into my mouth a truth nobody paid to hear. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because linen prefers prose. The brass lamp purred its small circle of absolution and refused to widen. "We already cheated," he said when breath learned its manners again. "We cheated the first night we started telling each other the truth before we told it at home." "I know," I said. Somewhere in the stacks a page turned itself. He took the borrower card and slid it into my left pocket with ceremonial slowness. His thumb traced my wrist once, choosing not to stay. He stepped back the moral inch that passes inspection. "I booked a room," he said, not triumphant. "Weather report, not prophecy. Refundable. We could stand at a window and not touch for 60 seconds to prove we remember ceremony. We could keep the do not disturb honest." "I'm tired of being clever," I said. "Clever's a footnote," he said. "Accurate is the text." He opened a box and took out a novelty magnet shaped like a little bookplate, ridiculous and perfect, and pressed it into my palm. "For your fridge," he said. "Cold helps letters behave." We walked the stacks like men learning a language from its roots. He showed me a margin where a medieval scribe had drawn a tiny hand pointing at a sentence I wanted to pocket. He looked at me like I was a sentence he was considering annotating. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he said. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." The elevator lifted me back to the world's louder fonts. The crosswalk gave me time, I took it. The apartment offered its square of kitchen light and the fridge's patient hum. Theo sat on the floor with his back against the door, sleeves pushed to his elbows, one ankle crossed over the other, the posture manuals use when they draw people who are about to fix things. He didn't ask where I'd been. He tilted his head toward the place beside him. I sat. "Do you want to be asked?" he said, voice steady, not performing mercy, offering it. "Please," I said, because prompts are the scaffolding of my better self. "Are you lonely?" "Some nights," I said. "Not here. Not when you ask first. Not when the kettle outruns the reasons." I took his wrist and placed his hand on my forearm the way he does when he needs to make sure I'm not inventing weather. His thumb traced once and decided to believe me. "I feel useful," he said. "I want to be wanted before I'm useful." "Tonight's procedure," I said. "Touch first, argue second, report later." The kettle clicked like a stamp in a country that still believes in mail. He poured water over mint. We named it dinner because names are cheaper than regret. I pinned the borrower card beneath the bookplate magnet so Proud at Breakfast faced the room. Theo read the graphite and his mouth did the smaller, braver thing. He took the dry erase marker from the cup by the fridge and wrote beneath the magnet, "Tomorrow, keep the torque." He didn't grin. He nodded like a man assembling a morning from honest screws. We made a rule that isn't noble. When prosecution tries to wear a bathrobe, one of us says library and the other puts the kettle on while the first puts his hands where history can find them. 5 words when 5 are enough. Stop at the shoulder, not the ditch. Try to want what we promised, and when we don't, write 3 words on small paper and tell the room how we'll fail differently tomorrow. Days do what days do when you're trying to be an amateur human with professional consistency. The card in my pocket learns the shape of my left hand. Paper learns its carriers. On the late bus, I draft messages to no one that begin "I didn't ask" because I thought that counted as kindness and "and may your breakfast go right." I don't send them. The not sending feels like a skill borrowed from librarians who understand both desire and delay. A week later, afternoon tries to be a test. A client throws a tantrum into my inbox. The train refuses to be on time. I walk past the library and buy nothing. I leave a bottle of water on the steps with a note. For whoever is waiting for a sister. The security guard gives me the nod bridges use when they've held and will hold again. On my way home, I slip a blank catalog card into my pocket and write "turn" toward your name across the clean side. I don't light anything. Theo and I enroll in the slow class called Truth. We schedule therapy because certain rooms make courage reproducible. We agree on the small ceremony of texting when late and the larger ceremony of letting hands be the first argument. Sometimes he asks if I miss the smell of that room, and I tell him I miss the quiet that comes when a person is precise on purpose. He asks if Julian makes me feel seen. I tell him yes, and that being seen is not the same as being kept. Julian texts weather, and I send back a photo of steam curling out of the mug with Theo's handwriting on the post-it beside it. Today, torque. Julian replies with an image of a marginalia creature with its tongue out, a beast hundreds of years old still making faces in the corner of a page. We flirt by annotation. We confess by index. One rain-sincere evening, the library loses power and Julian needs someone to help move a cradle into a safer case. I arrive with a flashlight and both good intentions and the wrong shirt. We work fast but careful, guiding a leather spine into a bed that will forgive it. When we're done, he leans against the table and looks at me the way light looks at stained glass. He kisses me with a hunger that skips rehearsal. My back meets the cool edge of the shelf, his hand finds skin. A whisper gets out that doesn't ask permission from my better self. We don't rush. We read each other line by line, his mouth the underline, my breath the marginal note. When he pauses, thumb at my belt, not yet a question, already an answer. I tell him I can't stay the night. Respect breaks across his face like mourning. We go as far as our better versions will permit and no farther. We put everything back where it belongs and pretend we always had. At home, Theo is awake in the kind of patient way that makes me both grateful and late with apologies. He doesn't ask whose sweater holds the ghost of paper. He says, "Weather report." And I say, "The kettle beat the reasons," which is truer than usual. He takes my hand and places it on his chest like a password. "Do you want to keep trying?" he asks. "I want to," I say, and then braver, "I want to." We practice the wanting. Breakfast becomes a place with rules. No phones at the table, no rehearsed cruelty before coffee, no pretending that tomorrow is a wardrobe where you can hide tonight. I turn the borrower card over and add 3 new words in the morning's better handwriting. Choose the hard. Theo watches me write and doesn't make me translate. Julian and I adjust our grammar. Fewer messages. No rooms with windows we can't open. If we fail quieter. If we stop without applause. He sends a photo of a bookplate with a hand-drawn sun. I send a picture of the magnet holding his first card. He hearts it and leaves the heart there like a book set down gently and not picked up again. It isn't noble. Nobility is a word I don't trust anymore. What we have is procedural, like conservation. Take a soft brush to the dust. Mend along the original stitch line. Keep the repair visible so no one believes the damage was a rumor. We fail and fail differently and fail in ways that don't require anyone to stand under brass pretending to know which passage will save them. The morning remembers its job. The room does not demand a verdict. Some nights I walk past the library and the lights have the decency to be kind. I leave a note on the guard's desk that says for whoever is waiting for a sister and a pack of almonds that won't change anything, and I go home. Theo is there with 2 mugs and a question he has decided not to weaponize. He tilts his head toward the space beside him. I sit. "Ask me," I say. "Are you staying?" he asks. "I'm trying to want what I promised," I answer. "Help me make more minutes where that's easy." He nods and reaches for the dry erase marker and writes beneath the magnet, "Read me closely." I write below his, handle with care. We sign. It's absurd and it saves us. Outside, the library breathes for the city. Inside, our fridge hums its small hymn. We say tomorrow out loud and let it mean only what we can hold. And when I slip the card back into my left pocket, the paper is warm, heavier than it has any right to be, the kind of weight that says carry me, and I will make you specific.